If he does this, he is not single, the harsh truth, Carl Jung. Have you ever noticed that man who seems to be always available, but never assumes anything? He looks for you when he wants, disappears for days, and then comes back as if nothing had happened. He says he is not ready for commitment, but acts like a boyfriend when it is convenient. The question isn't whether he likes you. The truth is much harsher than that. Carl Jung said that the unconscious reveals who we really are through our repeated actions, and there is a male behavioral pattern so obvious that once you learn to identify it, you will never be deceived again. These are signals that he emits without realizing it, small attitudes that denounce his true intention to keep you around without real commitment. Today, you will discover the psychological behaviors that separate a genuinely interested man from one who is only filling his emotional void. Get ready, because this truth will hurt, but it will free you from months or even years of delusion. What you're about to learn will completely change how you interpret masculine attitudes. 1. The emotional ghost that always returns. There is a type of man who disappears from his life without warning and reappears as if he had every right to be there. He disappears for days, sometimes weeks, and when he returns, he acts with disconcerting naturalness. He doesn't apologize, he doesn't explain where he's been, he simply picks up the conversation where he left off. This intermittency is not accidental, it is strategic. The psychology behind this behavior reveals something disturbing. It keeps you in a state of calculated anxiety. When he disappears, you start to question what he did wrong, why he walked away, if he should have acted differently. This uncertainty generates a distorted emotional bond where you spend more time thinking about him than he deserves. His return works as an intermittent reward, the same mechanism that makes gambling addictive. You never know when it will appear, so when it does, you feel relief and even gratitude. Your mind interprets his return as proof of interest, when in fact it is just convenience. He comes back because he knows you're still there, available, waiting. The difference between this standard and a real relationship is brutal. A committed man maintains a consistent presence even on bad days. He doesn't have to disappear to feel like he has freedom, because freedom and commitment are not opposites in his mind. Constant presence doesn't stifle, it builds trust. The emotional ghost uses detachment as a tool of control. He knows that his absence creates artificial value as a product in short supply in the market. When he finally shows up, you value that moment much more than you should. He doesn't have to make an effort because the scarcity that he himself created does all the work. Notice how he reacts when you question these absences. If he dismisses, minimizes, or blames you for charging too much, it is clear that the intermittency is deliberate. A man who is truly interested doesn't want you to feel insecure. He understands that relationships need consistency to flourish, not an emotional roller coaster that only serves to keep you confused and him comfortable. 2. The deep conversation that never becomes reality. He talks about dreams, plans, vulnerabilities. She opens her heart in messages, shares fears she never told anyone, creates an emotional intimacy that feels real. You spend hours talking about life, purpose, about how hard it is to find true connection these days. You feel like you've finally found someone who understands you. The problem lies in what happens after these conversations. Nothing changes. The days go by and all that depth does not turn into concrete action. He keeps talking about finding himself, about doing something together, about how good it would be to have someone like you in his life. But he never sets a date, never sets a place, never takes it out of the realm of ideas. Deep conversation becomes an emotional anesthetic that replaces real relationships. This pattern is especially dangerous because it simulates intimacy without risk. He gains all the emotional benefits of having someone who cares, someone who listens, someone who invests energy in him without having to respond in practice. Words work like counterfeit currency. They seem valuable until you try to use them. The psychology here is clear. Talking about depth is easier than building depth. Words do not require real vulnerability, only the illusion of it. He can turn off his phone and go back to life where you don't exist, while you process that intense conversation, wondering when you'll finally see each other. A man who really wants something with you doesn't just leave the connection on the abstract plane. He transforms conversation into invitation, intention into physical presence, promise into commitment fulfilled. The difference between speech and action reveals everything about your priorities. When someone really wants to be with you, deep conversations are fuel for rapprochement, not a substitute for it. They generate encounters, create shared memories, become stories that you tell together later. If emotional intimacy never leaves the texts, you don't have a relationship. You have a journal that responds. If you want to understand why a man does this and what it really means when he's not single, watch the JUNG method. The link is pinned in the first comment. Star 3, the master of it depends on the situation. Ask when you will see each other. The answer, it depends. Let's see how the week goes. Ask him if he's up for anything serious. Answer, it depends on how things evolve. Try to understand where you are in his life. Again, it's complicated. It depends on several factors. This man turned vagueness into a lifestyle. The systematic refusal to define anything is not a sign of someone reflective or cautious. It is a strategy to keep all doors open. As long as nothing is decided, he does not need to take responsibility for anything. He is not dating, but he is not single either. He did not promise exclusivity, but acts possessively when it is convenient. I didn't say you are something, but it bothers you if you go out with other people. This gray zone serves exclusively his interests. You're stuck in a limbo where you can't charge because you never agreed on anything, but you also can't move on because it keeps you emotionally engaged. Each depends is an exit door that he keeps unlocked. Compare it to a man who knows what he wants. He doesn't need endless analysis of how things will evolve. When he finds someone who matters, he defines it. It makes appointments in advance, talks clearly about intentions, doesn't leave you guessing where you're stepping. Clarity doesn't scare those who are genuinely interested. The master of vagueness uses specific vocabulary. Maybe, who knows, we'll see, it could be, it depends. These words create expectation without commitment, hope without guarantee. He never says no because it would set you free, but he also never really says yes because it would hold him back. Notice how it reacts when you demand definition. If he backs off, complains that you are pressuring, says that these charges are ruining everything, you have your answer. An interested man does not see a request for clarity as pressure. He sees it as an opportunity to make official what he already feels. The uncertainty is only comfortable for those who do not want to commit. 4. When he hides you from his world. You talk every day, he says that you are special, that you don't know anyone like you. But when it comes to presenting it to friends or family, there is always a reason to postpone. It's not the right time yet. My friends are complicated. My family is very nosy. The excuses change, but the result remains the same. You don't get into his real life. This behavior reveals the harshest truth. He wants you in a separate compartment. You are good for specific moments, but not for the life he built with other people. Keeping you hidden means that he doesn't have to explain his existence. He doesn't have to deal with questions about what you are. He doesn't have to publicly assume that there's something between you. The psychology here is simple but brutal. When someone integrates you into life, they're telling the world that you matter. When it keeps you away from everyone, you're protecting the freedom to act as a single person without facing social consequences. Don't your friends know you exist? He can flirt openly, Has family never heard of you? There is no expectation of commitment. A man who takes you seriously doesn't wait for perfect timing to include you. He wants the important people in his life to know the person who is important to him. It doesn't need elaborate planning. Presentations happen naturally because you're part of his routine. It's no secret to keep. Also, pay attention to social networks. If he posts about everything in life but you, if he avoids being tagged in photos together, if he never shares anything that suggests his existence, that's not privacy, it's deliberate concealment. Privacy is not exposing the couple's intimacy. Concealment is acting as if the couple did not exist. The difference is striking. Real relationships are integrated into life. They are not hidden from it. 5. The man who never makes future plans. He lives exclusively in the present. He talks about the now, focuses on today, but when you mention something 2 weeks from now, he doesn't talk. Talk about next month then? Impossible. The future for him is forbidden territory, a risk zone that he avoids as if it were a trap. This refusal to project anything beyond the immediate is not spontaneity. It is protection against commitment. When someone includes you in their future plans, they are admitting that they expect you to be present in their life. It's implicitly saying that you're not temporary, that you're counting on you to be there when that moment comes. The man who avoids this keeps the exit door always visible. He can disappear tomorrow without breaking any promises because he never promised tomorrow. You can meet someone new without guilt because they never planned anything with you other than today. Each day with you is isolated from the previous and the next, with no continuity that characterizes real relationship. Compare it to someone who is genuinely invested. He naturally talks about next week, next month, even about things 6 months from now. When you come here at home, at that concert we go to together, on vacation we could do that. These phrases reveal that he sees you in his future, that your presence is expected, planned, desired. The absence of future plans also appears in the little things. He never invites to an event that has a scheduled date, never suggests a trip that needs to be organized in advance, never talks about anything that requires coordination other than come here today. Everything needs to be spontaneous because spontaneous does not create an expectation of repetition. When you try to create these plans and he systematically postpones or ignores them, pay attention. It's not fear of abstract commitment. It's a lack of concrete interest. Man who wants you in his future has no problem talking about that future. His resistance to planning anything with you is not about laid-back personality. It's about keeping you optional, never guaranteed, always on standby where he can cancel without consequence because he technically never confirmed anything. 6. Intimacy without responsibility. He wants all the benefits of a relationship without taking on any of the responsibilities. It seeks physical intimacy, emotional connection, undivided attention, but when you need it, when real problems arise, when life demands concrete positioning, it becomes unavailable. Intimacy exists only on his terms, in convenient moments, in comfortable situations. This dynamic creates rapport where you give everything and receive crumbs. He appears when he is needy, when he needs affection, when he wants company. But in your difficult moments, when you would need true support, he is busy, distant, or simply disappears. Reciprocity does not exist because he never signed a contract that included being present in bad times. The difference between using someone and loving someone is right here. Love appears when it is difficult, when it is not convenient, when it demands real sacrifice. Using someone means extracting benefits without paying emotional costs. He wants the pleasure of intimacy without the vulnerability of commitment, the comfort of connection without the responsibility of reciprocity. Observe how he reacts to your emotional needs. If you're sad and he disappears, if you need serious conversation and he changes the subject, if you ask for support and he says he can't handle heavy things, it's clear that intimacy is a facade. Real intimacy includes imperfect moments, difficult conversations, presence even when it's not fun. It also sets selective limits. He may look for you to vent. He expects you to be available when he needs you. But when the situation turns around and you seek the same, suddenly he has too many problems to help. This asymmetry is not an accident. It is intentional relationship design, where he receives without reciprocate. A man who takes you seriously doesn't separate intimacy from responsibility. He understands that true closeness includes showing up in bad times, offering a shoulder when you need it, being consistent in all situations, not just pleasant ones. Intimacy without responsibility is not relationship. It is exploitation, disguised as connection. 7. You are the option, not the priority. He only confirms the meeting at the last minute. Cancel plans when something better comes along. He answers your messages hours later, but you know he was online the whole time. He looks for you when he has nothing more interesting to do. These signs form a clear pattern. You are not a priority in his life. You are a reserve option. Being an option means that he keeps you close in case the first choices don't work out. Your plan B, C, maybe D. He invests the bare minimum to keep you available, but never enough to build something real. His energy goes to other things. Work, hobbies, friends, maybe other women, and you only get what's left over. The difference appears in the consistency. Priority receives quality time, genuine attention, sustained effort. Option gets leftovers, crumbs, residual attention when there's nothing else competing. He may spend a whole week too busy to see you, but suddenly he has free time on Saturday night when his original plans fell through. Also notice how he treats his own commitments versus commitments with you. His work is never cancelled. Playing with friends always happens. Academia is sacred, but to schedule something with you, there is always openness to change, always let's confirm closer, always depending on how he is feeling on the day. The way someone distributes time reveals real, unstated priorities. He may say that you are important, but if actions show that you always come last, that anything else takes precedence over you, that he only comes to you when all other options have been exhausted, words don't matter. A man who makes you a priority rearranges his life to include you in it. He makes appointments in advance and honors those appointments. Responds to your messages in a reasonable time. He makes an effort to be present. You feel that it matters because his attitudes confirm it on a daily basis, not just when it suits him. 8. The ultimate test, how he acts in public. The most telling test of all his intentions happens when you're out in public. How does he behave when there are other people around? Does he introduce you or ignore his presence? Do you maintain casual physical contact or walk away as if you were strangers? Act like you're together or like you're just a random acquaintance. A man who really wants you doesn't hide it in public. He doesn't have to make dramatic statements, but he also doesn't act like you're invisible. There is naturalness in the way he interacts with you in front of others, comfort in showing that you have connection, pride in being by his side. It's not about public performance, it's about coherence between what you are alone and what he demonstrates when there is an audience. The man who is not committed changes completely in public. It suddenly creates physical distance, avoids any gesture that suggests intimacy, introduces you in a vague way and without context. If someone asks what your relationship is, he gives an evasive answer that explains nothing. This behavior says it all. He doesn't want anyone to think you're something concrete. Also pay attention to how he reacts if another woman appears. An interested man makes it clear that he is accompanied. He doesn't flirt, he doesn't open up, he doesn't act like he's available. He may be polite, but his body language communicates that he's with you. Already the one who wants you only as an option, your behavior completely changes. Suddenly, you become more excited, more available, as if you were not there. Coherence between private and public is an essential marker. If he's affectionate when you're alone, but cold when there's people around, if he's constantly looking for you at home, but ignoring you in social spaces, if your connection only exists behind closed doors, you don't have a real relationship. There's a secret he keeps for his own reasons. Public behavior doesn't have to be exaggerated, but it does need to be consistent. He doesn't have to be glued to you, but he also can't act like you have nothing. The way he treats you in front of others reveals how he really sees you, as part of his life or as something he prefers to keep hidden.